I'm gonna be 100 with you. I actually would watch that. Be more likely to watch that than 90 Day Fiance. Like the cast is such a great group of people as far as like comedic talent goes. So I feel like I should watch it if for no other reason on that basis.
And I'm okay with it because of that. But if it opened up to anyone else, I'd be very unhappy with it. I just wanted to make sure nothing broke because it do be like that sometimes. So also I'm recording in mono for the first time in ages. That was an accident, but I guess I'll stick with it.
Why are you recording mono?
I record stereo of a mono mic, so like there's really no reason to do that anyway.
Okay, fair. That makes sense.
I could record with both of my microphones and get that surround sound experience for the ASMR podcast, but like,
you're good.
Let's be real, that's actually awful.
That's because you guys will be like nice I didn't want to say it,
and then I'll be left side, right side, left side, right side. Anyway,
Noah,
I don't know.
I support you being in an ASMR podcast.
I don't, but I'm glad you do.
It's
I think it'll be fun, actually. See, that's the thing. I actually find ASMR really fascinating, and I don't have any inherent problems with it. I used to not get it. I used to think it was weird and nasty and gross. But as time's gone on, I've realized the things that I like. I love the visual stuff where it's like people cutting soap. I think that's really neat. I love that. When it's like people that have their mics just tweaked out and you can hear their tongue moving around the bottom of their mouth, that's not cool.
Yeah.
But if it's just like whispering, I like the whispers.
I like the whispers. You saying those words in a sequence makes me want to die.
I'm very sorry about that. But like, I like the whisper. I like mic tapping when it's properly done, because there's like the fake ear microphones that are specifically made for this, but they're hard plastic. So you end up getting fingers on hard plastic mic sounds, and I don't think that's good at all, personally. I think that's actually quite bad. That is not a sound I like, but I like tapping. Tapping's fun. I don't know. I've thought a lot about how that would be a fun subset of the internet to get into, like as a creator, not just as a consumer. But I have no desire to do that because I don't have enough energy to work on my projects, much less anything else. Like I have a cover of a song that I've been that I wanted to do before Christmas, and I have the drums tracked. I learned it on bass and guitar, but as it turns out, my guitar. So this is music nerd stuff for a hot second here. Yeah, do you know what intonation is?
I know that word, so I'm going to say yes.
Intonation is the thing that makes your guitar open for a half second. So intonation is when you hit this note, it should be the same as the same note at the 12th fret. And on down the board, when you hit 5th fret, one string, 7th fret, another, they should be the same note. And on down the line like that, if your guitar has its intonation tuned properly. What I have learned is while my super shitty $40 acoustic guitar is actually reasonably well tuned in that regard, my electric guitar is not. To the point where there were a lot of issues with recording the Jones Girl cover, not the least of which being I recorded the entire bass line in like D or D flat instead of E or D sharp.
You also recorded the Jones Girl cover.
I did also record the Jones. So that was like, it was a travesty of mistakes, a cavalcade of
as long as we admit that.
Things.
Step one was you did it in the first place. Step two was all the problems that came with it.
But
exactly.
Take two, I mean.
But here's the thing, right? Like, there were enough issues with that. Like, rather than retrack the bass, I just detuned the guitar to match the bass, and everything sounded sloppy and overdriven, and it was a good time. I didn't notice a lot of the issues. When I was practicing this other song I wanted to do, I realized that my power chords sounded like ass, and I'm like, well, what is this? As it turns out, the guitar is borderline unplayable.
Oh my god.
It's like, I literally can't do power chords because it sounds
and there's
so
nothing
bad.
you can do to fix it, honestly.
No,
Yeah.
Like, there's super easy ways to fix it, but I can't do it because I just don't know. I just don't know how. It's one of those things that, like, if I could hit up my brother or my dad, either of them could do it, like, in an afternoon, no time at all. And they could teach me, and I could do it no time at all, but I just don't know how. And it's on the list of, well, this will be nice to fix someday.
When I get around to it. Yeah, I feel that.
So if I can't take the time to fix the guitar that I actively want to play, I definitely, to bring it back around, cannot be bothered to get into creating ASMR.
I mean, that's fair.
So anyway, how's you guys' 2021 going?
No, I'm like I am semi on board with this, like at least talking about ASMR. Like, okay, I've talked about it before. I find ASMR gross and weird, and it freaks me out, and it makes me extremely uncomfortable. Part of that, I think, actually, the older I get, the part of that I think that is the there's like an inherent intimacy to it, and I don't love that.
There is definitely an element of that.
I think, and I find intimacy without prior, what's the right word to say this? Intimacy without prior, not even approval.
Relationship?
Rapport. Yeah. Even not necessarily a relationship. Like I can be intimate-ish here on the podcast, right? Like it doesn't bother me. I'll talk about whatever the hell. But it's
different when someone just talks about whatever to you.
It's, you know what it is? It's like when people are touchy, right? I don't like being touched generally, unless I feel very closely about somebody or like somebody quite a bit. I don't like being touched. So when somebody is very touchy with me, without obviously no harm, no foul, it's not like they intended it. They don't know that I'm like that. It feels very uncomfortable, extremely uncomfortable, and I tense up and I get wigged out. Same. What was that?
I said, wig?
A wig, yeah, like Kristen Wiig, like from the bad Wonder Woman movie.
I was just referencing it.
What, you mean the current Wonder Woman movie?
Yes.
Damn.
Yeah, it's not good. Did we talk about that last week?
Not on podcast. Actually, I saw a clip from, I think, one of the old Wonder Woman movies, and it was really bad. But because I haven't seen any of the new Wonder Woman movies, I'm like, I don't think that's the new outfit. But is this a scene from the new movie? Because this is awful.
The one from a few years ago isn't as bad.
Well, I mean, I think one thing that movie did have, though, is it does create the greatest supervillain origin story of all time.
For Cheetah?
No.
Oh, okay.
For the Italian guy who doesn't want a steering wheel to fly off when he's driving, and I think you should leave.
Yeah,
that's true.
That sounds right.
Honestly, that is
and that's
my
why he wants to make
favorite part
cars
of the
too small
DCU.
for his mother-in-law.
Dan, you'll understand someday. I promise.
Someday.
It's in the lore.
Actually, speaking of Netflix, you know what I started watching this week? Well, Michelle and I did, and the only reason I didn't watch you, I think you should leave, is because I didn't seem like the kind of show Michelle and I would watch together.
No, that's fair. That's fair.
Is we started watching Dragon Prince on Netflix. It's really good.
What is that?
I'm 99% sure it's the same people who did. Hold on.
You tell me it's not Jake Long?
It's not Jake Long. Let's see. Okay, that's what it is. So it's co-written by the head writer for Avatar. The Last Airbender, obviously, not the blue one. And he has it's a high fantasy story, and it's just really neat. It's really fun. They do, I mean, some of it's, I won't lie to you, in much the same way that Avatar can be. It's got some things that I'm like, damn, you really just came out and dropped this random piece of information that hasn't come up until now, and oh wow, look at that, it saves the day. Like it has a little bit of that going on, but not much. And like even when it does, it's not like a it doesn't like completely tear me out of it. It just makes me be like, wow, they really did do that, huh? So yeah, that's where that's at. It's pretty good. We did that because we started watching Arrested Development, and then we're like, wow, we don't like Arrested Development.
Really?
Yeah.
I found the first 3 seasons to be very enjoyable.
And then
I stopped watching.
I think I don't like sitcoms, and I keep thinking that maybe I do like sitcoms because I like I like Brooklyn Nine-Nine, but I don't like I just don't think I like. I keep trying to go to like anything except for like Brooklyn Nine-Nine and fucking we finished Schitt's Creek, and like I'm trying to think of any others that I've actually watched through, and nothing is coming to mind. And I just don't think I like sitcoms.
I think that's super fair. And I do love that you keep trying out sitcom after sitcom, because it reminds me of when I was first trying to get into, like when I was first drinking, and I'm like, I like bourbon. And then I couldn't find a single bourbon I liked.
Yep.
And I'm just sitting here trying to drink it straight and like, no, this really doesn't do it for me. It just doesn't taste good. Now I realize, a non-drinker, tried to jump into an incredibly abrasive alcohol as my first drink and was like, weird. I should like this.
Why
and I feel like you're doing the same thing with
I kind of am. Hold on. I'm just gonna look at best sitcoms because like I want to see what people are saying.
I'm actually curious to see what best sitcoms turns up in the year of our Lord 2021.
According to June 14th, 2020 on ScreenRant.com, according to IMDb. Parks and Rec. Actually, I really enjoyed Parks and Rec. I watched all of Parks and Rec.
I guess Letterkenny is a shitcom.
A shitcom. Yeah.
I saw Schitt's Creek and I'm like, Schitt's Creek.
I guess Letterkenny is a sitcom.
Damn, you did it, dude. I'm skipping over
I just was repeating Noah.
I'm skipping over the animated ones because I don't think animated sitcoms are the same boat. Hot take.
What's next? You don't like Family Guy?
I don't like Family Guy. I don't like South Park. I don't like Simpsons. I do like BoJack, but I also still have never gotten around to seeing the last season because it makes me sad.
Not even Peter Griffin?
I don't, dude. I'm sorry. Peter Griffin?
The Family Guy? He goes,
Damn, you know what?
holy
I don't
crap.
like this list because it has some bad takes on what does and doesn't make a sitcom. It put fucking Gravity Falls as a sitcom.
What?
And I'm not backing that. That's just a kid's show.
I would love to say Gravity Falls is a sitcom, just to be divisive.
But it's not.
But
like
I can't get on that at all.
Mm-hmm.
Why is it? Rick and Morty isn't a sitcom. I don't know that Rick and Morty is a sitcom
I don't know.
either.
I don't know. I
like,
got nothing,
I'll accept The Simpsons, right? The Simpsons.
And South Park even. I would accept.
I don't know. I don't even know about South Park. Definitely Family Guy, because Simpsons and Family Guy follow the sitcom
format.
Holy crap.
And I guess technically South Park does too, but it kind of rubs me the wrong way to call it a sitcom. But like Rick and Morty isn't.
Rick and Morty is objectively not. But then again, maybe no, we don't have a high enough IQ.
Holy shit,
what does sitcom mean? Does it mean situational comedy?
Yes.
Sure.
That's exactly what it means.
Sounds good to me.
Situational comedy.
Okay.
It's a comedy based on it is generally a character based format because seeing them interact with the world in weird and unique ways. Generally, though not always, doesn't follow a overarching plot line, which is part of the reason I think I liked Schitt's Creek was because while it was a sitcom, it did have an overarching plot line. And yeah, it's generally a very heavily character-based show, to the point where there really isn't anything going on except for the fact that you want to see what these wacky characters are going to get up to next.
See, I have a lot of issues. No, that's exactly what I was about to say.
I can't believe that, George!
I have a lot of issues classifying things as sitcoms that don't reek of Seinfeld to me.
Same.
Seinfeld is, love it or not, Seinfeld is the sitcom.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I would put Friends in that same category. It's like Seinfeld and Friends, and I feel like The Office. The Office is much newer than the other two.
Yeah, I'm walking here.
I feel like
here. Hold on. Let me send you this link. Hold on. Let me send you this. Let me send you this one here. Let me see how you feel about this list. Because this
are you looking at the Screen Rants list? Because that also
I've switched over to IMDb
at.
because the Screen Rants list made me angry.
Okay, cool.
Rather than sort by popularity, I'm just gonna sort by number of votes because I think that's more interesting. And like on this list, like we got so just reading down the line again, skipping animated ones because I don't care.
Friends and Seinfeld. There we are, the two pinnacles of the Big Bang Theory. See, that's the thing. Big Bang Theory, Big Bang Theory is bad, but it is absolutely a sitcom. Yeah, How I Met Your Mother, 100%. I don't know. I get that The Office, like by all of the things that we said, is definitely a sitcom. But sure. I have issues labeling it as one.
Why?
Only because
you like it.
No, because I don't have beef with sitcoms as a medium. I just feel like because The Office was labeled as more of a like mockumentary type of feel, even though that can still be a sitcom, it just doesn't slot in properly in my head.
Although I think The Office honestly loses a lot of its mockumentary feel when you're watching it.
Yeah,
it's like it's almost like they have to like say like, "Hey guys, remember this is a documentary." Every once in a while, and you're like, "Oh yeah, I'm snapped out of the sitcom, basically."
Yeah, but generally,
I feel like if you're not,
go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, it's really easy to just forget that you're watching a mockumentary.
And the same with like, I feel like fucking Arrested Development. It's also designed to be like that mockumentary feel. The asterisk being they don't interact with the like.
I don't think it's meant to be at all. I think it's just it has a narrator and that conditions you to think that it's supposed to be like one. That's
fair. That was a weird choice for me. Like that threw me for. It still kind of throws me going back to that. Like I don't know. For me, having it. Okay, hot filmmaker take. If you have to have a narrator past your first 5 minutes of movie, you're doing a bad job telling your story or television.
I'll agree with a caveat of I don't mind it being an element of the show.
It is because that's the only asterisk that they do it so consistently.
That's the thing that I like about Arrested Development is that it is just Michael's internal like dialogue going on where he's just like, what is going on here? I really don't get why this is going, and no one else has that happen. It's just him saying what's going on, and I'm okay with it because of that. But if it opened up to anyone else, I'd be very unhappy with it.
I can back that. Okay.
I feel like it feels the same as Scrubs and how JD is constantly has that internal like conversation.
I've never seen any
like,
of Scrubs. Scrubs is actually the one in the like of this top list. The one Scrubs is the one that I'm like, wow, people actually watch that. I thought it was like in the same vein as like, to me, it's in the same vein as like any of a bajillion other fucking medical shows. And I now realize that it's not. It's actually a parody on that genre.
It is, yeah. Honestly, Scrubs is really good. I enjoyed it a lot. How I never finished it because I started watching it because Netflix was going to ditch it, and Jeff was like, "You telling me you still haven't watched Scrubs after I told you should really watch it for like years?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure, I'll watch some Scrubs." And I watched a few seasons. I'm like, "This is good," and then it disappeared.
Yeah,
I think it's on Hulu now, but
why would you use Hulu? Hulu has ads because they're bad at life.
Not my Hulu, but I
not
feel
my
what you're
Hulu
saying.
either. But when I watch it on the TV, it does, and it makes me angry.
Really?
Yeah, mine has ads because I have it through Spotify. Although actually, I need to see if I keep meaning to check. I keep forgetting. I need to check and see if there's a. I thought there was a bundle for Spotify, Disney Plus, and Hulu, all three. I kind of want that a lot, especially if it's cheaper than my current bundle.
Well, that's the thing. If you already have Spotify or if you already have Hulu with ads, then bundling it in like that, you literally lose nothing.
Yeah, the fact that Spotify, like you literally don't like, they just are like, hey, here's free Hulu.
Yeah.
Like I don't even really like. I thought about like canceling Hulu before because I'm like, oh, I should like get the service instead. But I'm like, I'm literally not paying for it, and I'm gonna pay for Spotify anyway.
Yeah, that's kind of how I feel about it too. I don't use Hulu very often, but like it's there, and I'm sure like why bother? Like why bother not having it?
That's actually where I'm at with Disney
free.
Plus too, because Disney Plus I get bundled in with Verizon, and I would not be paying for Disney Plus at all. However, Verizon will give you Hulu, Disney Plus, and ESPN.
Okay.
And while I already have my Hulu that I like, I don't, but I have it now, which I don't know if I end up working somewhere where people talk about sports again, that'll be convenient because I can keep up to date on a couple of things.
Okay.
You know, I can be all like, hey, did you see that game last night? Hey, buddy, check it out. Like, man, that tight spiral from the infield that Mahomes threw, that was good. You know, I hear that. I know a name. I threw a name in there.
I hate this.
Pat
this
Mahomes.
Is the worst.
You get a name.
Someone was sitting in church today with a Pat Mahomes jersey, and I can't forget about Pat Mahomes now because they sit right in front of me.
That's extremely funny, actually.
They wear it every week. I'm actually impressed. It's because
it's their church uniform.
It's been 2 months now.
It's their church uniform.
Take me to church. Patrick Mahomes.
Back to this list if we can for just a second, right?
Oh yeah, go for it.
So we've got, just running quick down the list: Friends, Big Bang Theory, How I Met Your Mother, The Office, animated, Modern Family, which I honestly forget exists.
That's good, actually. It's still on?
Yeah, dude, it's still on. It's still a running
no, it stopped
thing.
last year.
Oh, okay.
Good Lord.
Yeah.
I'm amazed that still is on. I remember seeing commercials for that when my family, because when digital TV happened, my family did not buy a converter box for our shitty TV. So we no longer had channels. But before that,
it do be like that.
We would watch Simpsons every, what was it, like Wednesday night? A new Simpsons episode came out. So we would watch it. And we would see so many ads for Modern Family. And I got to be honest, it didn't look enjoyable. And the fact that it's so well regarded to make like this position on this list.
I know.
It surprises me.
Yeah,
8.4.
I totally back that. I genuinely, like I said, I forgot that show existed. Like I just don't even think of it as a real show. Let's see.
Valid.
Arrested Development, Scrubs, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, Community. Futurama is a weird one to put on there, even in the context of like sitcoms. Like I get it, and I don't. Yeah. But that one feels weird to me. Even in the context of animated sitcoms, which I already don't know that I love as like a
George.
Entourage, 70s Show, Crowd, Man on the Moon, Pleasantville.
See,
30 Rock. 30 Rock's the other one that I really want to watch. I really actually would want to watch 30 Rock.
Actually, used to really love 30 Rock. Like back in like high school, I haven't watched it in a long time. But back when it was like just finishing up, I watched like all of it, and I remember it really fondly. I don't know how good it is these days, but I remember it fondly, and I had fun with it.
One of those things where you probably don't want to ever go back to it because you don't want to ruin the memory of it. But if you
I don't want to like be like, oh, you should totally watch it. I recommend it, because I don't know that I recommend it.
You know, because that childhood you recommended it.
Yeah, you could like watch it and be like, man, this is like awful, and I'd be like, yeah, I can see it. But I just
Jackson, I can't believe you supported all these horrible things that they said.
That's why I'm like, I don't remember. I don't think it. I think it's pretty funny though.
That's the other thing I've noticed a lot watching, like trying to get through sitcoms, is like, whoo boy, some of them man, they had stuff. They did have stuff, and that's always uncomfortable.
See,
and
a lot of these I would put as like a drama too, and not exactly a sitcom.
Really?
Like,
Like what?
I wouldn't put Weeds as a sitcom personally. I think that's just a drama because it's funny sometimes, and it's definitely like primarily character driven and everything. But like,
but it feels weird to you.
I don't know. I feel like that's a weird one to have sandwiched between Curb Your Enthusiasm and 30 Rock.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I can see that. I like Curb Your Enthusiasm, but that's one of those shows that I can't really watch more than an episode like a week. It is like, for whatever reason, one of the most like stress inducing shows to me. It's kind of like people like if you're like, oh man, whenever I watch like the Scott's Tots episode of The Office, it makes me stressed out. You could not handle Curb Your Enthusiasm. I'm not saying it as an insult. I can't handle
anxiety
it.
is super real.
It's so real, and like because every single episode, like you can see the line. Like it's kind of like you're playing chess, and you can see 3 moves ahead. You know what's gonna happen, and it's inevitable.
And you just don't want to see it happen.
You have to watch Larry David over and over again make an ass out of himself, and every time you're like, Larry, just it's so simple to not do it.
You know what?
He always does it.
I feel that super hard. That's actually a big reason that I've never watched The Office ever. Is literally because of that exact emotion.
Yeah. Whereas I think The Office has a lot of redeemable episodes, and there's a lot of the time when you don't feel like that, or when you do, you're like presented the narrative from a side where like you're laughing at like Michael as he's doing these things. And I think that's why people have an issue with that Scott's Tots episode in particular, because in that one, the people who are being like weirded out, stressed out and everything are the kids, and like the people who you're familiar with, all the characters you know and are familiar with are in on what's happening. So you are no longer able to be like, look at Jim laughing at Michael doing this crazily like anxiety inducing thing, because you no longer have those like comfort characters to fall back on in that episode. It just becomes about Michael doing the wrong thing and everyone else knowing what's going to happen and watching the train wreck. So you don't actually have like a horse to bet on.
You don't have a side you want to be on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If you do have a side you want to be on, it would be with the kids, but you know nothing about them other than the fact that they're getting screwed over.
Yeah.
I gotta be honest, I've never found that episode nearly as hard to watch as a lot of people have made it out to be either, is the problem.
I personally don't either.
I don't know, because I don't want to be like, oh yeah, no, it's I'm too good to get that shook by Scott's Tots episode. But I don't know. It was definitely one of the rougher episodes in that regard.
Yeah.
But like, I don't think it's the worst. Like the dinner party one, I think is worse, even though you have your comfort characters, right?
The dinner party one is also one that people look to as well.
And
in that one, you do have your comfort characters, but they're just as trapped as you are.
I think that's also part of the key, is that like you've got to make it so that you got to make it so that the characters are just as miserable as you are, and to have that like comfort level, I would think. Well,
just as miserable as you are, but not more miserable than you are.
Exactly.
Because if they're worse off than you, then it makes it makes it more hard to watch.
Yeah.
And I think that a show that does that really well is Community. Because like I feel like I never get uncomfortable when I'm watching Community, because there's always like when someone says something that is like, you know, an offensive joke or just something that's offensive. It's always like you always have people in the room that you know and like that are like, what's wrong with you?
Okay.
You know, like whenever like Pierce inevitably says something racist to like Shirley, everyone else in the room is like, what the fuck what's wrong with you?
See, that's actually something that like I haven't been able to get past with Community, is that Pierce makes the show unwatchable for me, because I'm like, he's just a little, I think he just hits really close to home with some people that I know in real life.
Yeah, and I agree. And like I was watching it whenever I watch it with some of my friends, were like, that's literally this like coworker or like this older like person, you know, and you're like,
yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, I really want to be able to laugh at this show because a lot of it's very funny, but some of it is just a little bit too much for me. And
it does hit close to home when he hits like the true like boomer humor levels.
Oh yeah, some of
his
like,
boomer
I
humor got a
rough.
Wi-Fi box.
Wi-Fi hate.
Yeah. And everyone, yeah.
And
the fact that like the show doesn't make him out to be a good character or like pretends like he's being redeemed in those actions is like the good thing. Everyone's like, yep, you are a bad person because of it, and we're stuck with you because of school. So I think that's something.
I would watch Community, I think, at some point. I like just literally just looking at the cast. Like I've seen the cast of it. Like the cast is such a great group of people as far as like comedic talent goes. So I feel like I should watch it if for no other reason on that basis. but I just haven't gotten that I haven't gotten that far in my journey of do I actually like sitcoms or not.
Yeah, I would always gas Community up. I think it's really, really good.
Oh.
And the seasons all have such a different taste to them. Yeah, I don't really watch that many sitcoms overall, though. I have a couple that I've like stuck with, but like Community, I've liked again for a long time. All of those shows from like that NBC block from back in the day, like The Office, Community, and to a lesser extent Parks and Rec, but more 30 Rock.
Yeah, 30 Rock was definitely part of that. Parks and Rec is a little.
So 30 Rock was before, before
like.
Parks and Rec, because like it was like for me anyway, from my memory, it was like I watched The Office, 30 Rock, and Community, and then Parks and Rec was like on the later. Like it came in like a couple years. I think it came in after 30 Rock finished,
it did.
Maybe.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Okay, I don't remember the exact dates or anything because I was younger.
You were a child,
but I was indeed child. But yeah, I don't remember Parks and Rec really from my childhood. I watched it when I was older, like out of high school, and then I like it well enough, but I don't love it as much as I love the others.
That's super fair. I think that's extremely valid.
I tried watching The Good Place.
Ooh, what do you think of The Good Place?
Bad. Don't like
interesting.
it.
Okay. I actually
not
I'm willing to approach this because I actually really
show.
enjoy The Good Place. So let me hear this. If you don't,
I've watched like half of the first season.
Okay.
I don't know. It just seems like it's very much like you've got a 19-year-old who took a philosophy class and they were like, I'm done taking philosophy classes. I've actually figured it out. And I feel like that's where all of the ethics for The Good Place lie.
You know what? I can actually solidly get behind that, especially for the early seasons. Yeah, no, that actually 100% tracks.
And then the problem I have with it then is like they pose it from like the show and like the narrative is from a point where it's like we're correct, we're right.
The show believes it's right in and of itself.
Exactly. And then like also what's his name, like Chidi?
Yeah.
The guy who was like a famed worldwide like renowned ethics professor, who will just be saying like it's so funny because like the show will be like an episode will have a really like weird and like ethically ambiguous moral, and then they'll just be making fun of him the whole time too. And you're like, I feel like you're taking the character who's like supposed to be like the master of ethics and spend his whole life researching it, and you're just like, he's just a book smart loser. The real ethics are the friends we made along the way.
God, no, did you watch Good Place?
I didn't finish it yet because I binged an awful lot of the show. I don't know,
so enough that
actually.
I can say they do kind of address some of that.
Okay.
And that's not a like, okay, so I hate when people are like, oh, you just have to get past like the first season and then it gets so like, fuck that. If your show can't grab you in the first season, don't stick around for it. Totally fair. That being said, I think the show gets smarter as it goes.
That's good.
I think
I haven't gotten there
halfway through season. No, I'm sorry. I'm almost done with season 3.
And I've been, it's just one of those things I watched the first 6 or 7 episodes, and then it just didn't really grab me.
Yeah. If it doesn't grab you by then, like, you don't have to like I don't know, don't stick like if it doesn't grab you by then, don't do it.
I'm willing to admit it's probably for other people, but it just didn't seem to be for me. And also, like, I've still got some 90 Day Fiancé to watch.
That's valid. That's valid.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, can we talk about the 90 Day Fiancé cinematic universe?
Please.
Excuse me?
The 90 Day Fiancé. Okay, they don't call it cinematic, but the 90 Day Fiancé universe. That like. So you know how the Discovery Channel and the Discovery Network, I suppose I should say, has their own streaming service that's launching. Sure. By the time this comes out, it'll actually have already been launched. At the time of recording, it comes out tomorrow. Sorry for the insight, everyone, but now you know our secrets. But like one of the things they always say in the ads, like, and new additions to the 90-day universe.
Oh my god!
Like, isn't that just the real world? Also, can we address people who are obsessed with believing reality TV is fully scripted or scripted at all? Honestly,
okay.
That's the thing, right? Like,
before I get behind this.
I believe a lot of reality TV is scripted, but I don't think they script it down to like the sentences, right? I think there's like a story plot that they hope for.
I think the thing is that like a lot of people don't realize producing shows is expensive.
Yes.
The entire reason reality TV got big was because like the big writer strike that happened back in the day. And so they're like, well, we're not going to pay writers if they're striking. Instead, let's just make a show without writers by just recording stupid people. And that's basically what reality TV was. Obviously, there's more to it. And I believe that like at this point in the timeline, the production crew does point things in certain directions in order to maintain the image of the show. But also, like, for example, 90 Day Fiancé. Why would you, if you have, at this point, like, they're on like season 8, and I'm guaranteeing you they get like thousands of couples applying for every season.
Mm-hmm.
So they can cherry pick the biggest dumpster fires imaginable.
Oh yeah.
And for no extra money, they don't have to pay anyone to write it. They can just record these dumpster fire people.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And they record them for a full 90 days. And the show probably spends, throughout a season, 15 hours at most on a couple.
Mm-hmm.
So they have to get 15 hours worth of content. And a lot of it's like edited to be very deceptive, and you hear the same thing 4 times from the couple. They have to get 15 hours out of content over 90 days. That's not hard.
No, that's super
Especially
easy.
if you have producers with them all the time.
Yeah.
It's easy as hell. And like, so why would they be hiring professional actors to do the shit that they have thousands of dumpster fires volunteering to do? And then why would they pay writers to script them to do things when they already suck ass? Because half the time they'd be like, oh yeah, I'm actually married the whole time. I'm just afraid to tell my fiance.
It's the
Like, why would you need to write that? What do you need a script? You can just record that.
It's the Gordon Ramsay thing, right? Where like for a lot of his Hell's Kitchen or whatever, right? Yeah, these people are dumpster trash fires, and also everyone involved works very hard to make sure that like things go certain places, because while yes, you absolutely need all these many hours out of content, it's a lot harder to get a full episode or 2 out of content from 1 or 2 days or even a week of shooting. Like that's not. I agree. That's a lot harder,
especially when you have a show like Hell's Kitchen where they don't have as much time,
and where people are ostensibly the thing that I would also kind of throw out as like the literally exact polar opposite, right, of something like 90 Day Fiance is something like Judge Judy, which a lot of people still watch. I didn't know. I wasn't aware of this until I was hanging out with Michelle's parents, and they watch it. Like they just have it on in the background all the time.
Yo, I got some news about that show too. Once you're done.
You got that hot tea, sis?
Kind of.
Fucking, so that show, right? That show, they fucking plow through, like, it's a 15-minute episode, and then there are 20 minutes of ads. Like, that's literally the entire thing. And I think that, like, that's kind of the inverse, right? Where they are we have 1 day to get the footage for this, air quotes, like, micro episode, because it's really broken up into smaller episodes or whatever. And if we don't get it, we have no show. And so, like, while 90 Day Fiance has all the time in the world and therefore doesn't need them, I'm surprised more people don't be like, well, why isn't Judge Judy fake? And I think the answer is because you people are so fucking stupid that they're willing to take, I think it's $300, $1,000, something like that.
Yeah,
just to have the chance of being on the show.
Plus, they get their settlements paid for.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So, like, you're telling me, like, all you have to do is go and, like, be an asshole and make an ass of yourself on TV in front of someone who's going to be mean to you, but then you won't have to pay a settlement fee and you'll get paid money anyway.
Yeah, that's what I was actually going to say is there's a few guys on TikTok who have come up who are like, yeah, me and my friends were actually on Judge Judy 3 separate times, or on like the judge shows like 3 separate times for various things. And they just make something up because the show will pay for it. And if you try for little enough money, you'll get it almost every time.
Yeah.
So these guys are like, yeah, we made like a total of 10 grand off of these like judge shows just because they could. And I love that. That's like, why not? Right.
I also love that.
I fully support that shit.
Yeah. And it's like, I think, I just, whenever I talk about 90 Day Fiance with a lot of people, they're like, it's all scripted anyway. They're just actors.
No,
why would they make the show 10 times as expensive?
No,
that's like the one that in particular is like, it's far, if they are actors and it is scripted, why are they trying so hard to make it seem so stupid and natural?
Yeah.
Like, the show is ass, and like, I'm not defending it for being good. I'm just saying, like, it's not scripted. It's just genuinely, like, and that's one of the things I like about it. Like, I watch it and I'm like, this show, it's not like trying to tell me anything. It's not trying to make me think anything or feel anything or come up with any morals. I watch it and I say, haha, dumbass.
Yeah.
And like it does, and like the show itself is not pushing me to be like, actually, I think that the good guy was the friends along the way.
Yeah.
It's literally nothing. It's kind of like the difference between like Black Mirror and the Twilight Zone.
Yeah.
Where Black Mirror says technology bad. The Twilight Zone says, damn, that shit's fucked up, right, G?
Yo,
that shit's pretty fucked up.
I really lately have been wanting to rewatch a bunch of old Twilight Zone.
Yeah, I just like how the moral of, like, not all of them, but like a lot of the Twilight Zone episodes is just like,
don't want things.
That would be fucked up, right, guys?
A lot of the moral is A, don't want things, and B, what if it's the future, and C, don't want things. Like that's like 90% of Twilight Zone episodes.
Yeah. It's basically like, yeah, it's either, the episode is either like, the monkey's paw, or, damn, what if that shit happened?
Yeah.
And I love when it's like, damn, what did that shit happen?
Dude,
'Cause I'm like,
I love it so much. The ones that are like the ones that like these days, right? Looking back, right? Like, oh boy, those twist reveals are bad, right? Like the one where it's the fucking you guys. I mean, I'm assuming you guys are watching up Twilight Zone because somehow I feel that.
a handful of episodes. For my aunt used to like it a lot when I was younger.
There's an episode where like the whole shtick is like, oh, I'm gonna go undergo this big surgery and I'm gonna be beautiful, right? And
oh
like,
yeah, that's like the episode.
That's like one of like three. It's that. It's Time Enough at Last, and I don't know what the hell. Most
I would think the diner one. I don't know. I can't remember the name of the episode, but you know what I'm talking about. Which one's the alien?
Yeah, exactly. And like that was just but dude, wouldn't that be wild? Yeah, the To Serve Man where they fucking eat people. It's weird. Like it's just a weird. Oh, and Nightmare at 20,000 Feet. That's the one with fucking William Shatner in it.
It's one with fucking.
With fucking dude, it was so wild. They just fucked in the middle of a Twilight Zone episode.
Yeah, good for them.
Yeah, dude, it's very weird. Like it's one of those things that like the twist it doesn't mean it doesn't mean anything. It feels like it should mean anything and it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah. And that's one of the things I genuinely do like about it though.
I respect it so much. I respect it so much. Because
it really is, instead of saying something, it just is, yeah, wouldn't that be fucked up?
Yeah, basically.
And I'm like, you know what? That would be pretty fucked up.
That would be wild, dude.
You got me. Noah, your thoughts?
I don't know. I do love Black Mirror, but also, you're right.
Well, I'm not saying it's like a dig on
Black
Black
Mirror's
Mirror.
good.
No. I mean, like, it's one of those things where I'm like, I wish it wasn't like that, but man, it really is like that, isn't it?
Yeah.
Which is fine. Like,
I think it does a really good job of as much as it's like you guys, what if Black Mirrors are phones? Like as much as I think it can get up its own ass, it also like does have like things that it's trying to say.
I just wish what it was trying to say wasn't look at the danger of technology, because so much of it ends up just coming across like, while really fun, a little boomery. And I do love
there are far too many episodes that just end with because you be on that phone.
Maybe if we unplugged from society, everything would be better. And it's like, thank you, Black Mirror. I definitely didn't think of that the other 13, 20 times that you tried to tell me that.
Also,
have you considered unplugging from your phone and plugging in to the Word of God?
Can I get a name in?
The show makes a lot of assumptions about human nature that I don't appreciate. Like the one that's sticking out in my head is it's not a spoiler. This show's been out for God knows how long. Fucking the one where it's like, oh, my boyfriend died and I got real sad about it. And so I made a clone boyfriend and he's exactly the same, normal. Except I secretly know that he's not my real boyfriend. Like, I don't know, dude.
I don't remember that one. I gotta be honest.
I think it was season 1. I think I ever got past season 1. So that it has to be season 1. And like, I don't know, the thing I got out of it was the idea that like, as much as the computers can possibly know about you, they can't know enough to simulate that he's really your boyfriend. And my reaction is, well, so tell him. Like if your goal is to replace your dead fiance, maybe if your goal is, Amelia, if your goal is to replace your dead fiance, and the problem you're having is, he doesn't know quite enough about the real me. You're already at the point where you've spent all this money to replace your dead fiance. Just tell him. Just tell him the things he's missing. Like, work through that. That's how relationships work. You work through problems. You don't just shut them off.
Hear me out though. That plot, but it's on like season 96 of 90 Day Fiancé.
Okay.
It's like instead of issuing visas, we're just gonna clone dead people and make them fall in love. And then halfway through the 90 days, we're gonna tell them they're dead people, and they have to decide if they want to get married in 45 days.
Honestly, I'm gonna be 100 with you. I actually would watch that. I'd be more likely to watch that than 90 Day Fiancé.
Honestly, it's fun because you just create people only to make them suffer.
Yeah, I mean,
honestly, I gotta be honest with you.
Please tell me you object to this.
Yeah, please object to this.
No, it's one of those things where it's like, I hate that the more you talk about 90 Day Fiancé, the more I'm like, no, this sounds like something I kind of want to watch. And then you just say these absurdly terrible things, and I'm like, you know what? I'd watch that too. Come to think of it.
Yes.
See, I have much less interest in 90 Day Fiancé because I don't think it says anything about like the nature of humanity. But a show where you clone people and then tell them that they're clones and they have to decide if they want to get married, that's so much more interesting to me.
But if I can, I think it says more about the nature of humanity watching real people interact with one another in a way that they have to emulate love whether or not they feel it. I feel like that says more about the nature of humanity than someone who wrote a script and is now telling me what to think.
That's fair.
Because I don't like being told what to think, and that's what I like about 90 Day Fiancé. I think what I want to think, because I realize also that it's not, it is like that because I've talked to people who've watched the show about the show, and it's wonderful to have like completely different opinions on people.
Yeah.
Because the show doesn't tell you that there's no right and wrong. There's no like truth laid out. There's just events that happen and you interpret them as you watch.
I mean, oh God, I don't like that. I'm gonna be honest with you. I really don't like the way that's phrased because that's not, the show is telling you what to think. Even if you think it's not, it 100% is. That's how television and shows like that work. Like they have a goal when they edit the show together. Even if it's just the editor in the editing bay who has a fucking goal. It's like why documentaries are bullshit on some level, because on some level documentaries aren't showing the truth. They're telling a story.
Well, sure, but you have to accept that whenever you consume any form of media.
Of course.
But I'm just saying that there's significantly less
I just had an issue with the phrase, nobody tells me what to think. Like that just rubbed me the wrong way for a second. I apologize.
Specifically when watching 90 Day Fiancé, I do think that though. And whenever they edit to be misleading, I'm like, it's going to be misleading. I've watched enough seasons to know that.
It's all misleading. That's the point. That's what I'm trying to tell you is that it's all that's how it works.
Well, sure. It's just they're just telling the story of events. You know, the sequence of events, I suppose. And you look at them and you like interpret it how you will. I just like that there's not someone writing it and trying to teach me some like after school special narrative.
That's fair. Yeah, no, there's nothing worse than an after school special narrative. That's a fact.
But yeah, and most things have them though. That's why I'm like, you don't need to tell me that the real bad guy was sometimes people. Can you just put a bad guy?
What if bad guys are just bad guys?
Like, I hate watching a movie and then it's like, remember guys, the real monster is sometimes the things we do that we regret. I'm like, no, can the real monster be Bigfoot?
You know what? I can back that.
Because I understand the nature of man to an extent, obviously not fully. But like,
no,
I get
Jackson,
the idea
you understand the nature of man, full stop. Beginning,
nice.
In and out,
wow.
It's all of it. You get it.
Well, thanks for telling me that. I've been wondering if I did or not.
Dude,
but I'm glad to know
I'm here.
I fully...
Listen, I'm the mouthpiece for the next level. I'm here to tell you figured it out, man. You got it.
That's pretty cool because like this is basically like when they finally sequenced the human genome, but for me, I just sequenced the human mind. Like it's nice to know that. So thanks for telling me.
Dude, I'm glad that you know. Now you know.
Like whenever I watch something that's like, remember guys, man is the real bad guy. Sometimes like, yeah, I've been hurt before by people. I understand the way that people can be. And like I've seen plenty of shows that are like the real monster was people. Can't there just be something where they're like, the real monster was Bigfoot and he beat the shit out of that guy?
The real monster was a monster. Well, I kind of I kind of love the first. Okay. And this is like, I know that this is probably not what Noah, like, I don't think that Noah will agree with you on this read for Cabin in the Woods, right? I finally watched Cabin in the Woods this past year. And I kind of love that, like, the real monster was, yes, people, but you know what the real monster was? The elder gods behind it all. Like, I don't know.
Yeah,
that was something that gave me a lot of joy about that.
You're like, the real monster is the way that people manipulate each other. But also, that guy did just get killed by a unicorn. Exactly.
And that's like the show or the movie both is having its cake and eating it too, right? Like it does have the moral of like, yeah, but like these people, this corporation or whatever the hell it's called, they're the real monsters. And then it switches and it's like, actually the real monsters are the beings that want to end all reality, that these people are trying desperately to not have that happen.
Yeah, and I think it has its cake and eats it too because of the fact that it's like a satirical movie.
Exactly. Like it couldn't do that, I don't think, in almost any other context.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to see atmospheric, slow burn horror movies about the nature of man. I want to see Bigfoot
dude
hit you with a rock so hard that you die.
Listen,
damn,
you know what?
You really did die from that big rock.
I'm actually okay with that. I'm okay with more movies that are just what they are on the tin. Like I think all movies do have a lesson. Like it's impossible to not like have a movie and have it like not say anything. That's just not how any fucking form of media works. Yeah, I agree.
But and I think that like symbolism is also more than welcome. I mean, exactly. I love Alien because at the end of the day, they're like, you know, the monster is the Weyland-Yutani Corporation, and also the monster.
Exactly. Well, that's the idea. Is that where you can make the monster be a monster and still also have a monster. Like that's the wonder. Nice you can have monsters. Multiple bad guys. It's like fucking Jurassic Park, right? Like the monster is man's hubris, but also the monster is kind of the giant T-Rex.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, there are definitely some monsters.
And I feel like for some reason horror movies have kind of gotten away from that recently, and they're more of like the monster is unseen, but one another we are the problem. Like, yeah, I get it. I get Wayland Yutani bad, but also I want to see Sigourney Weaver light that on bitch up.
I think part of it is we are in an age where it's difficult. It will literally only be more difficult as time goes on to not just retell the exact same story, right? And you can make the argument that that every story's already been told, whatever. The difference is that we now live in an age where every story is not only already been told, but we also have a record of every story that's been told in the last however long. Whereas before you could say, well, it's been 300 years. I can tell this story in a new way. Now we're in an age where like, yeah, dude, fucking, we get it. Blue people is fucking Romeo and Juliet. Like, we get it. Like, nobody's confused. You can only tell Romeo and Juliet so many times.
Yeah.
And I think
that they're like,
that's the struggle.
The problem with that is that if we were to have a break in the production of media for a long enough period of time, then that could happen again. But because it's such an ever consuming industry, there's no breather. Like nobody's getting a second to take a breath.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's why a lot of people are overloaded on superhero movies, for example. Like
I'm willing to like superhero movies, but man, they need to stop for a minute.
Yeah, they just give me a minute and then I can come back to it and I'm happy to watch my superhero movies. But you aren't giving me the time to look at the superhero movie. You just want to tell me superhero movie. And I'm just telling you, yeah, I get it. I seen that superhero movie. Okay.
I feel like we mentioned this last week, but like that was, or maybe not last week. Maybe it was in a chat I was in recently. I don't know. Everything's blurring together because so much has been happening.
Because time do be slipping into the future.
I saw an article on Twitter talking about how no Marvel movies have been released for 1 full year now and pop culture feels it or something like that. Or it has left a void in pop culture. And it's like, no, it hasn't.
Has it?
Firstly, we've been occupied with a bunch of other things. Secondly,
we've got things going on.
People still aren't shutting up about the movies. So like they're still very much in people's mind. But more importantly, we got to branch out with some other things. Do you think The Mandalorian would have done nearly as well if we had been getting bombarded by Marvel movies this whole time? No, it did well because it released when like it released and people were angry at Star Wars, right? But a few people gave it a shot and then more people gave it a shot. And it's like, you know what? I actually quite like this show. And then that was one of the only like Disney show content like put out this year, right?
Yeah.
Like
that's, and then it spawned off.
This is good steps.
Then the problem is then the suits come in and they're like, well, it worked for Mandalorian, so let's do 7 more Star Wars shows.
Yeah, no, that's problematic. That's stupid. But
they were going to do 7 more Star Wars shows either way.
That's also true. But like, you know, we have like other things that aren't as huge got a chance to like pop out there and be like, hey, remember when this happened? That's neat. But instead of being bombarded by another Avengers movie or trying to reboot the timeline now that they've killed half their cast and they're like, okay, now it's
spoilers,
the new ones.
So I gotta say though, I am eminently, as someone who doesn't really like Star Wars, but I don't have like, I like Star Wars in the sense that like I like making fun of it and I understand it and like not to making fun of like it's genuinely bad, but like a gluck shitto.
It's like poetry. It rhymes.
Like, you know, like yeah, like you know, it's just like making little like goofs and gaffes at it because I understand it and like it is a consumable amount of media. Well, I think it's getting to the point where it's no longer a consumable amount of media, but my prediction is because Disney's like, okay, people are done with superheroes. Instead of putting out 15 of those, we got to put out 15 new Star Wars things.
Yep.
And then 5 years from now, people will be like, I don't like Star Wars.
Yep.
And they're like, but we can do so many side stories and branch out. It'll always be fresh. That's what they said about superhero movies when Iron Man came out. They're like, no, it won't always be Iron Man. We'll do a Netflix series about like individual, Avengers or whoever they call themselves. So we'll do like the Defenders.
But that's my argument though, right? Like that stuff worked. The Netflix series, for the most part, I found to be pretty good.
Yeah. Except for Iron Fist.
But as soon as Defenders was bad, we didn't need Defenders. The little bit of Luke Cage crossover with Jessica Jones in their own respective shows, that's fine. You know, like a little bit
I think that also
Daredevil
is
that's
just
fine. Half a sec. I'm almost done, I promise.
Oh, you're good.
But like the fact that like as soon as we got an Avengers style tie together movie, those shows tanked so hard. And the same thing happened in the MCU in general. It's like, hey, you know what? Some of the Avengers movies, pretty cool. But as soon as they happened, all the individual movies suddenly had to tie into the Avengers storyline. Like, I mean, you tell me one Captain America movie that isn't Avengers Light, you know? The very first Captain America is its own thing, but then after that, it's all Avengers Light.
Yep.
I mean, Civil War had
Captain
all
America
the people
movies.
in it, you know?
Well, and like, I think that's, unfortunately, that is kind of part of the problem, right? Is that like, and I think that I'm hoping, right? Knock on wood, asterisk, I don't fucking know, because as much as I would have at one point said they can never run out of it, I don't know anymore. Star Wars has the unique ability to not have to be like, it's based on characters, absolutely. But fucking half the shows that are coming out now are actually fresh characters that are, yes, Star Wars, and yes, have been around for 10 years, but haven't been around for 50. You know what I mean? And I'm really hoping that, I mean, as much as I hate to admit it, I really do think that Dave Filoni gets Star Wars on like a deep personal level and actually understands what Star Wars is trying to do and what you can do with it without breaking this fucking entire everything. But like, I think that, yeah, you don't have to have them all cross over. And it's, unfortunately, I think that that's inevitable, right? I think that once you build something in the same universe, like when you're a child playing with your toys, it's fun when you grab your Optimus Prime toy and smash it entirely through the entire Lego set. Like, there's a fun there because everyone wants crossovers, whether they knew it or not. They want crossovers.
Yeah, and I think that's basically my initial point. Is I don't think that, like, you know, The Mandalorian's bad or whatever, like the Obi-Wan Kenobi movie is going to be like awful. I don't genuinely, I don't really care too much about them, but that doesn't mean I think they're bad. I think that the point was, like, initially I said in 5 years, which is kind of like how when everyone said like, oh, like, you know, they're making a Jessica Jones show, that'll be fun. I haven't seen her before, and she's like a niche character. That'll be a really cool like way to branch out. But then eventually you get to the point where you're like, okay, so they tried these things that were like unique and they worked, but then they keep trying them and they keep doing them. And after a point, you've got 10 different shows you have to watch in 15 movies. And then it just becomes kind of like, it gets like a critical mass of unwatchability. And Star Wars has a disadvantage of an established cinematic canon. So there are already 9 movies to watch. Yeah. And well, they've been released over the last, 50 years. There are definitely people, so they have that watchability. Them. Yeah. And most people have seen them, so they have that advantage going in. But also, if you haven't seen Star Wars before, or if you're unfamiliar with it, in 5 years, when there's 6 more movies out and 3 series, sure, you don't have to watch them all, but then you have to start with watching, A New Hope. Yeah. So it kind of like, it just becomes like, it just adds to that critical mass. So I think it will be a slightly more expedited process than what happened with the Avengers. And I also, that doesn't mean I think that the initial Marvel stuff was bad. I mean, most of it was really well received, like Noah said. Like, he's like, that was cool, that was fun, that was good. But then because Disney being Disney, they're going to reach the point where they're like, let's just throw it all together and just keep doing things to make money. And then eventually it loses the charm. And it loses the people who are really genuinely like wholeheartedly into the project. Exactly.
Like, I have friends right now. Like, I right now have watched, with the exception of Resistance, have watched every mainline Star Wars property except for the last like 4 episodes of Mando. I would never sit down and tell somebody, oh yeah, go watch Clone Wars or else you're never going to understand what's going on in fucking Mandalorian. Because while there are characters that carry over, I can't, like, that's ridiculous. You can't just ask somebody to go watch an entire movie or entire fucking saga, an entire fucking 5 episode long or 5 season long series just to get who this random character is that shows up in episode 5. Like, it doesn't.
It's not required at this point.
It's not required at this point, but it definitely will be at some point. And I agree with you. I think that when it does, it's going to kill it, which sucks because I stand by the fact that my one goal as a creative person is to make a Star Wars. And I also
like, I don't want to be saying that from like, I don't want people to think I'm saying that as like, you better not like Star Wars. Like, I am like fully on board with people like enjoying it and getting into it. Because if anything, now is the time. Like, now is when it's getting like the big reboot and it's gonna be fresh, and you have like plenty of time to watch everything and like get really into like the universe and the characters, and then you can watch it as it expands. And that doesn't mean you don't like things. I'm just like spitballing, like, in 2028, I hope that Star Wars isn't burnt out, but I'm pretty sure it will be. Yeah. Unfortunately, but in 2021, it's not, and that's the thing. Like, I don't want to be saying like, get off the boat now, otherwise you're going to be a sellout. But nah, it doesn't matter. Now is the time. I'm just saying, like, and plus it's been massive for years.
Yeah, Star Wars has always been huge.
I just think that they're going to, I fear that they're going to burn it to the ground. And seeing what they did with the entirety of like the Avengers and Marvel, I know they're probably going to do that again. And this is just their new thing. They're like, superhero movies are out, space movies are in. Yeah. Unfortunately, that's I 100% agree with you. I think that there's no world in which Star Wars doesn't get
got completely burnt out by its own size at a certain point. Like, that's just going to happen, and it sucks because I would like to believe that Star Wars is going to stick around, but it can't.
And the thing is that it will stick around in the same way that, like, you know, the Marvel things aren't dead. They're still making the comics. There's still plenty for people to enjoy who are into it. It's just it's moving out of the public eye and the mainstream once again, which is honestly good for people who are like have been into it as a niche, because then they can kind of get back into like the more like, I don't know, like the more like indie aspect of it.
Yeah, there's a certain amount of like
enjoy.
This is a quiet thing that only I know about with it. Not even like a necessarily elitist way, although people do take it that way. But there is this is my thing. I am a Star Wars nerd, and I know all these things about Star Wars because that's the thing I'm interested in. And it's weird when like 17 other people are like, yeah, but did you actually know? And I have to sit here and be like, yeah, I
you know about Coleman?
I do. I know about a lot of Star Wars.
Coleman? I think that's like my point on it. And again, it's not a negative, and it's not a.
It just is
dissing people.
It's an inevitability.
It's a prediction. It's kind of like my New Year's prediction. Not my. I just don't want people who are like, you know, just getting like, I don't know. Like, I know Nina has been like getting more into Star Wars, and I don't want that to be like what a poser. It's just gonna blow up. Like, no, it's fine. It's fun.
Yeah, enjoy things you enjoy.
Exactly.
Just don't
that's
be
actually something
about
that
it.
she's been worried about is like, you know, because it's not like she doesn't know anything about it, but people get really weirdly defensive about things that they like, especially when, I mean, everyone can smell it coming. It's about to burn. And
like, that's the thing. I've seen her tweets, and I don't want this to seem like I'm like doing anything that's like discouraging people from enjoying it. I'm just saying, like, I think Disney's going to burn it to the ground.
Yeah, I unfortunately 100%. I think I agree with you. But hey, in 30 years, maybe I can get involved with the Star Wars reboot when they inevitably reboot Episode 4.
It'll be big over the next like 8-9 years. You know, get in now.
I'm working on it, man.
There you go.
Disney won't get back to me.
Just give
I keep asking for my laser gun, and they won't give it to me.
Hit up Walt's frozen brain.
I'd rather not. I don't want to go there. That place is gross. Walt's frozen brain is not a place I want to be.
Just like give him a phone call.
Yeah, I don't even want to talk to him. He's gross.
Yeah, you can't say that publicly if you want to work for Disney.
Oh shit! Fuck. Fuck. Well, no, edit all that out.
Oh damn! I can't believe you can't work for Disney now.
I know, right?
So anyway, that's my piece for the week. I think we should probably wrap up. I got plans.
I'm good with that too.
Yeah,
I know last week I said I was going to pick up Ghost of Tsushima and play it. I did. I have bought it and I played a couple hours, but I really like it so far. But I'm not even like a third of the way through the game, so I don't want to.
Which game?
Give a Ghost of Tsushima.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, I've been playing that, but I haven't played enough to give it a full review. So far, so good, but I don't. Maybe next week I'll play more.
Cool.
Good deal.
That's all.
Well.
Do you do plugs? Are we doing plugs this year?
So
is that a thing?
We're gonna do some plugs
here. Plugs a thing in 2021?
Cowards.
Now, I need to reach out to the call out patrons, but here for the shout out patrons, big thanks to Edge, Bo, and Michael. Y'all great. Thank you so much for all you do. Greatly appreciated.
All you do is give us money, which we appreciate.
I don't like how you said it that way.
Am I wrong?
No, it just rubs me the wrong way.
Where's the lie?
But yeah, I don't know. Also shout out to Hi, Cloud, Sam, and Emma. We'll get your call outs in here soon. I'll hit y'all up eventually in time for next week, all things willing. So, but yeah, you can find me online, Bubbadabad, BUBBADABAD. Actually, we should back up. To become a patron, go to patreon.com/offtheair. However,
nice, you did it.
A super, super great way that you can also help support us is just drop us a review on Apple Podcasts. It's just toss 5 stars at us real quick. It's really great. It helps. And we'll read your review as long as it doesn't say anything terrible. So yeah,
I mean, we'll read as long as it says, even if it says something mean to us. It just can't say anything heinously offensive to like the world
that's pretty much it. Exactly.
It's a very low bar.
But yeah, back to me. Bubbadabad, BUBBADABAD, Twitch, Twitter, and Insta. I stream on Tuesdays and Thursdays, mostly Red Dead. Gonna try and slide some other game in there because I need to shake things up, and I kind of want to go back to Dragon Age. But we'll get there eventually.
It returns.
But well, I'm realizing that video games with other people, while great for my mental health in the socializing aspect, is no longer helping recharge me in the I played video games alone to just turn off the world. So I need to balance it out. So we'll
you know what? That's super valid.
Yeah. How about you?
Twitch, Twitter, Born to Rule 47, or Born to Rule 47 on Twitter, Born to Rule on Twitch, streaming Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. That's what we're doing now. Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. I'm actually switching that up sometime soon in the new year, but I have not made that plan yet. That is future me's problem. And future me, little known fact, kind of a dick. So fuck that guy.
Man, what a dick.
I know.
Yeah.
He just expects me to do so much.
Yeah.
What about you,
Jackson's
Jackson?
around, but
No,
he's not.
Jackson, I know you don't do shout outs, but what are you doing right now? What is
you know,
what thing do you want people to go experience?
if you know, you know.
Okay. Well, I
Sure,
tried to
you'll
give
get
you
Thai food
the
after
chance
this.
to say, hey, I like this show, or hey, I like this property, or hey, I like this other creator, but
I'm gonna
That's
get
fine,
some Thai food later today.
That's true.
Jackson's shout out is Thai food, just as a concept.